it's me Missy, I'm back, and today we're going to be playing Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. Now, I have never played this game before, but it looks super exciting. Let me do one thing first that I forgot. Okay, looks like we are good as far as I can tell. Sleeping Saraki, hi! How are you? Now, I don't know anything about this game, guys, just telling you this, but I know it's a Vampire the Masquerade game, and I'm excited. So let's go! Ruha, the rabble rebel against power and rage against authority. A seemingly insignificant man with significant ideas will join their ranks tonight. Ventru, the aristocratic blue bloods embody wealth, sovereignty, and control. A top-level corporate executive will join their ranks tonight. Toreador, the divas seek thrills of art, romance, and cruelty amidst stagnant undeath. A tormented artist will join their ranks tonight. So, I'm just going to say this now. I have played as a Toreador before. I've never played as either of these. So, I guess. Aristocrat, blue bloods, wealthy, sovereignty and control, top level corporate executive will join their ranks tonight. Well, I'm a rebel, so I guess I'll do Brua. Let me just double check one thing for you. Okay, everything seems fine. Okay, let's go. Bruja it is. Choose your name, Eric. We're gonna go with... We'll just go with Mr. We'll do Mr. Unless you guys want to name them, but I don't think you guys do. We'll do Mr. Goodness. New York taught me to believe in fate. Had you asked me about fate back when I was a human... Goodness. Had you asked me about fate back when I was a human, I would have told you it's just superstitious bullshit, that we are all designers of our own destinies. That belief shattered when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not a face you could have seen in the papers, of course, sank her teeth deep into my neck. It happened in the very same place you're standing in right now, by the way. Fate? You decide. Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile, just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see it glow again. I think we're being a little dramatic, but you know, I'd be wrong on that matter. I was incandescent myself. I was hot shit. I had it all. Money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, a career, and a spark in my eye. The one you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought, that won't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that it would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred, just like you, an apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me, the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you look at some loudmouth braggart and see them for all they really are. The temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate, a message saying, You're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It almost drove me to destroy myself. Well, we are a little dramatic, aren't we? What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom, it was a message of hope. Fate exists, and no one can shape it if given the right tools. And one can shape it given the right tools. Okay, so we're still being dramatic, just a little different, I guess. One second, my dears. I want to fix something that seems to have decided it wanted to break. My sire didn't believe my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me, her amusing subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm still here, standing right where she stood when we first met. You might have wondered how I've learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today happened to be a day some of my associates were inspecting the coffins. Driving you here straight from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it is so rare for you to visit New York. 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you're never eager to inform me you're here. I understand you still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight, so I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much. Don't get me wrong. But it is precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay the favor you owe me. You're the one I trust to do the job well, and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy, asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. But this is New York, and I don't know about other cities, but in this one, fate really exists. And right now, it's smiling in your favor. This is how it begins. The music is pounding, your pulse is... Good lord. The music is pounding and your pulse is keeping pace. This is one of those nights that makes you feel alive, even though it started with you feeling dead. First came the messy breakup, then the realization you had nobody to talk to about how much it sucked. So you decided to roll with the punches. Good lord, I cannot speak or read. Hold on, guys. Ugh. One Facebook search for local events later, and you found just the thing for your malaise. A short subway ride, and you find yourself at the club just outside Dumbo. Not a fancy one, mind you, more like a slightly refurbished warehouse. But hey, at least the drinks are cheap. One second. The DJ seems to really know his shit too, alternating between cutting-edge industrial techno and classic Detroit crowd pleasers, expertly feeling out everyone's mood. An hour passes, then 2. Usually, you'd feel awkward coming to a place like this alone, but tonight you find something soothing in joining the crowd, blending in, even as you allow the beat to take over. Sweat, yours, other people's, soaks through your shirt and pants in a matter of minutes. A thought pops into your head. From the outside, the fully packed club seems like a stuffy, smelly nightmare. But here, in the thick of it, it becomes exhilarating. And you're not even on a pill tonight. There's this Latina chick whose curves are accentuated by the light dress clinging to her body, and she keeps bumping into you. Something tells you it only seems incidental. Yeah, it's a good night. You wish it could last forever. Because you know, all too well, what the next day holds. Waking up, getting dressed for work. The commute, the 9-to-5 grind that will make you just enough money to pay the rent and keep living in your overpriced shithole of an apartment. And with Jessica moving out, it'll all be coming out of your pocket. You run some quick calculations in your head and immediately come to regret that you did. Never mind, you spot the Latina again. She is now next to another guy, hitting it off. Your chance of not going to bed alone, gone. Just like that. Fuck. Your mood temporarily shot down, you leave the dance floor and stumble your way to the filthy bathroom. You take a look in the mirror and start to wash your face. Obsessively. Over and over again. A voice from the past echoes in your mind. Nice shirt. Jessica. I never felt like this with anyone. Seriously, I mean it. I feel like all of my relationships up to this point were test runs, a shitty way to compensate for my low self-esteem. But this feels right. Finally. Shut up, Jess. This was the craziest fucking day of my life. God, I need to smoke. Pass me a light. What do you mean? Cops took the lighter? There's one in your mouth. Just shut the hell up. This is not you, not anymore. Oh, fuck off. This is so like you. Acting like some sort of Clint Eastwood wannabe when I really, really need you to open up. You think you're impressing people with this tough guy act? Fuck you. I know how broken you really are. You need therapy. Yeah, now that sounds like the Jessica of today. You raise your head and look in the mirror. You try to smile, but all you can muster is a self-pitying grin. And there she is, the Latina from before. Twitchy! Hi! How are you? And I'm doing very well. It's lovely to see you. How have you been? Why, thank you. I'm glad you love her. She says you look like you need a drink. You hesitate for a second or two, and then blurt out, surprisingly enthusiastic. Yeah? You start to talk. It quickly becomes evident that she's into politics, and you are eager to please. Oh, you were at the hospital? Are you okay? What happened? You might be a corporate drone, but you spend a lot of evenings reading theory. Actual theory, not bastardized Twitter cliff notes. And organizing for all manners of causes online. That's impressive. The status quo sucks. There must be something better. She agrees. You seem to subscribe to the same progressive political theories, have compatible ideas about the DSA's missteps, even watch the same YouTube channels. Your goals are aligned. Well, that's good at least. I'm so sorry you have a heart problem. She's a bit more radical than you'd have guessed. You attend a few rallies, been to a few protests, but this girl sounds like she broke her share of faces and kicked more than a couple of cops in the nuts over the course of her activist career. Her zeal is infectious. She taps into pent-up anger that you didn't know you had. The noisy club stops working for you both, so you hit the streets. Just as you're leaving, Nichijay starts playing All the Things She Said by Tattoo? Of course. You chuckle to yourself. Trying not to slip into a bad headspace, she chuckles along with you. It's chilly outside. Soon enough, you'll find yourself too invested in listening to the girl's voice to care about anything else. You realize you've been holding hands for a while. The subway car is empty, save for a stoic, middle-aged couple and a drunk staring intently at his own feet. Plenty of room to stretch out, and yet she sits right next to you. You can feel her thigh pressing into yours, her breath on the side of your neck. Maybe it's the booze talking, but you distinctly hear your voice asking if she'd like to crash at your place. I've got a better idea, she says. At this point, you're down for anything, as long as it lets you spend just a few more minutes with her. She takes you to a sleazy motel in the Bronx, trading a few words with the balding, tired-looking guy at the front desk. He hands her a key. Still holding your hand, the woman leads you up the stairs. The room you end up in is almost comically stereotypical, complete with flaking paint and a sticky floor. Not that it matters, though. The moment you step through the door, she's on you. Well, so far the game seems really cool. Never played a game like this before, really. This is awesome. I like it so far. Gotta say, it's a nice change from action and fighting things and other stuff like that. You try to take the lead, but she's having none of it. Before you know it, you feel the rickety bed pressing against your back. It's sloppy, fun, fierce, and not once does she lose the initiative. Your hands reach under her t-shirt. Strange. It didn't look like she was cold outside, but now her skin feels eerily cool. As if sensing your confusion, she slaps your hands off of her. She kisses your neck. You're overwhelmed by the sensation. Darkness. The taste of liquid fire and smoke on your tongue. Her voice saying, "Sorry, kid. I did what I had to. Had to do to leave this city in one piece. But don't worry, with my blood and your principles, you're gonna do just fine." Oh, geez, thanks. She slams the motel room door behind her as she leaves. Of course she just fucking ups and leaves us. That's great. You lie helpless on the soiled, pungent mattress for some time. Minutes, hours, before you can focus enough to try and piece together your evening. It hits you. The big hunger. It grips you by the throat and makes your insides shrivel in terror. It's an all-encompassing emptiness that throws you on all fours. You crawl for a while, squirm on the floor in sundering pain, then jump to your feet and burst out the door. You black out. This isn't the room you saw when you last closed your eyes. Somebody curses at you. A small, naked, buff dude holding a short leather whip. Whoa, what a goofy motherfucker. He throws a punch. He yells out several slurs. He hits you in the jaw. You black out again. First kill. The guy isn't moving anymore. There's blood on his neck. There's blood on his arms. There's blood on the floor. There's blood everywhere. Well, whoever did this is one sick puppy. You realize you're sitting on top of his corpse. You hear a whimper. Someone else is there. A woman. Her arms are tied to the bed frame, an eye mask over her face, red marks on her back. This time you see it happen. You want to stop, but you can't. She almost manages to get a scream out, but it dies in her throat as you bite into the side of her neck. You drink. Oh, well, 2 kills. Damn. Blood. You're drinking blood. You could swear you feel her life escaping her body, entering yours. Suddenly terrified, you tear away from her. She's not moving, but she's breathing. There's barely a mark on her neck. Guy on the floor, though. You double over in spasms, realizing what you did. You feel like throwing up, but you can only gag. Panic sets in as another realization dawns on you. Your heart is not beating. You put 2 fingers to your wrist, but feel no pulse. Same thing on the neck. Nothing. Achievement unlocked. Rebel yell. There's no breath coming out of your mouth. You have to get out. Get someone to call an ambulance. For yourself, at least. Probably too late for the dude on the floor. Did you really kill him? Stranger. What a mess. You look up. The door to the room is ajar. A tall, handsome, broad-shouldered man fills the entire frame. He brushes an imaginary speck of dirt off his perfectly tailored suit. I mean, this is exactly what it looks like. Out of the way. Call 911. Call 911! Hey man, you gotta help me. Call 911. So that you get arrested and reported as a jail suicide within the next 24 hours? Because that's the only way that plays out, son. He surveys the room, not moving an inch from where he's standing. He shakes his head in mock concern. Murder, assault, that's 25 to life, if you're lucky. But since you're not, it's a death sentence. Takes a glance at his expensive-looking watch. Lucky for you, it's been a slow night. Otherwise, I might not have gotten here in time. You call this in time? Come on. Sun comes up in a few hours. You don't want to be around here when it does. Fuck you, I'm not going anywhere. I need a doctor. I need a doctor. Screw the sun, man. I need a doctor. Oh god. How long did it take me to put these models together? Like 3-4 months? Maybe a little longer than that. A doctor will do about as good as an undertaker at this point. Well, too bad for my person. The man approaches you and starts talking. His tone remains unnaturally calm, oddly enough. I find it both soothing and slightly unnerving. Now listen to me. I know this is all new to you, but I've dealt with hundreds of strays like you. And going by experience, they tend to fall into 2 categories. First, there are the smarter ones, who carefully obey my every word and don't try to pull off anything stupid. I always get them where they need to be, safe and sound. And then, there are the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on, the wise guys who tried to contact somebody, secretly and without permission, the troublemakers who tried to run off, or make a scene. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, most of them never reached their destination at all. His voice becomes slightly bored and monotone. You can tell he's given this speech before, likely dozens of times. So you see, while I generally consider myself pretty smart, I'm also a Mets fan. It's my one true weakness, one that inspired me to come up with 3-strike system when dealing with pups like you. You get on my nerves once or twice? Well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful situations. Cross me 3 times and you're out. No excuses, no forgiveness, no mercy. As he's talking, he slowly approaches you, adding a bit of a theatrical swagger to his walk. Eventually, he leans in, deliberately invading your personal space. You realize it's a test. He's daring you to do something about it. 3 strikes and you're out. Say I understand, sir. Now. You've never been too eager to bend the knee to anyone, but this is something else. The man's very presence instills a primal fear in your heart. Any opinions, my dears? Anybody want me to choose something differently, or do you want me to choose for myself? Okie dokie. I'll be good for now. I understand, sir. Glad we have an understanding. I'm just glad you're here, Twitchy. It's nice to see you again, it really is. Moving on. Is there anyone you'd want to inform of your current situation? Tell them you're alright? He flashes his fangs briefly. For some reason, the sight sends a chill down your spine. There's something very wrong about him. Someone closest to you. Lie out your ass. My girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend. We'll be truthful, we really don't have anybody, do we? My ex-girlfriend. Jessica, my ex-girlfriend. She kinda hates my guts, but yeah, I suppose it would be her. The stranger gives you a puzzled look and decides to prod further. The closest person in your life hates your guts. This time, something resembling a look of pity. He turns his eyes to the corpse on the floor. When it rains, it pours, I suppose. Well, if you'd like to ruin her day and let her know you're alright, give me your phone number. I'll have someone take care of it. Discreetly, of course. You hand him your smartphone so he can copy the number from your list of contacts. Thank you. This will be useful in illustrating my next point. Instead of giving you back your phone, the man hides it in his pocket. From this point on, you are subject to different laws than the ones you grew up under, and you'll be watched by many eyes to ensure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone know you're still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes looking for you, it's over for both you and them. He interrupts his monotone reciting and stares deep into your eyes. So, unless you want your girlfriend to end up at the bottom of the Hudson, I'd suggest you cooperate. He proudly displays his fangs again. You've put Jess in danger, god damn it. You can only hope that you care for her enough not to do anything selfish. His words are meant to imply otherwise, but by now, it's obvious. He hates your guts as much as you hate his. He's itching for a fight, and you're almost willing to oblige. Alright, I think that's enough lecturing for today. We're on a bit of a schedule here. Now, I don't need to hurt you, but I can do so in the blink of an eye. Just so that we're clear, I have the authority to end you right here, right now. This is not an idle threat, so you are going to play along, or do we have to do this? Do it the hard way. Goodness. Punch the stranger. Follow the stranger out. Call for help. Follow the stranger out. You weigh your chances, but it doesn't look promising. The guy's fit, determined, and looks like he means business. You, on the other hand, are confused, exhausted, and on the verge of a panic attack. Yeah, fine. I'll go with you. He almost looks disappointed. A wise decision. Follow me, please, and close the door behind you. You take one final look at the woman, who's just come to, and the body on the ground. This is fucked. Absolutely fucked. You pull the handle and close the door. The man leads you downstairs. You contemplate signaling the bald guy at the front desk, but he's too busy watching some 90s action flick on a small, ancient-looking TV. He seems totally oblivious to your presence. You hear a dejected Jean-Claude Van Damme say, "I just want to go home," as you're walking by. Your would-be kidnapper stops by the door and addresses you before opening it. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, as soon as he opens the door, I'm making a run for it. Maybe I can outrun him. I'll save you the trouble. You can't. You can either get inside my car, and I'll get you to where you need to be, or you can try something stupid and you'll regret it later. Do I make myself clear? Clear as day. Day, huh? He opens the door and gestures to a black Cadillac Escalade parked right outside the building. After you. Go inside the car. Following the stranger's instructions, you make your way to the car and get in the back seat. The door locks behind you. Metla! Hi! How are you? Inside, the Cadillac is almost entirely dark. The side windows seem light-proof. The man gets in the driver's seat, starts the engine, and drives away without another word. Oh, well, good night to you too. Did I die? This is the afterlife, isn't it? You're not entirely wrong, but it's not what you think. He weighs his next words carefully. You have to forgive me. I'm not in the mood to wax poetic about the state you're in or my role in tonight's events. Just remember, if you want to survive the next 24 hours, you have to play along. This is a nightmare. This is a fucking nightmare. The stranger smirks. Understand that this is for your own good. Times being what they are, you should consider yourself lucky. You drive in silence for about 20 more minutes. As exhaustion catches up with you, the streetlights fade into a blur. Eventually, the car stops and the doors open. You emerge from your dreamlike state and find yourself in some kind of underground parking garage. You two are the only ones here. The man points to a nearby door. Go on in. Make yourself comfortable. You get hungry? Again. Take a look in the fridge. I'll pick you up tomorrow, and you'll get your answers. Behind the door is a small room. No windows, just a simple bed. A single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. A small fridge is humming away in the corner, accompanied by a rattling AC fan in the wall. Guess I have to trust you. I guess I got no choice but to trust you. It took you this long to figure it out? Remember when I said you were lucky? I meant it. See, my job is to get rid of problems, but I'm not always this polite about it. This time, I was specifically told to mind my manners. So believe me when I tell you, consider how this night could have turned out. Being stuck in here for a night is a really good deal. Now get in or I'll throw you in. Walk inside the room. You step inside, the stranger nods. Good night. He closes the door behind you. It looks sturdy, but as you're locking it, you notice claw marks all over, like some kind of previous guests who weren't satisfied with their stay. Decide not to dwell on it and check the fridge. There's a single plastic bag there, filled with red liquid, and a label. Tomato soup? You feel sick to your stomach. Best to leave it for now. You lie down on the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame. You can't help but think it looks exactly like the one back at the hotel with the bound woman. Oh right, you killed a man tonight. Or did you? Maybe none of this is real. Maybe it's all an elaborate prank. The girl at the club, Jess might have put her up to it. The tall guy's clearly in on it too. Now he's back with them, and they're all laughing their asses off. Yeah, you're right. This is actually a good start for Vampire Fledgling and Vampire the Masquerade. I agree. You don't know what to think anymore. Your mind races, but you're too tired to keep it going. Finally, you tense up one last time before drifting away into oblivion. You wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. Didn't feel quite like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged, the lamp is still on, the AC is still rattling, and the refrigerator is still humming. Take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died, your breath is gone, and you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You open the fridge, the bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it is soup, then its color and texture are off. You pull the cork out, take a whiff, you recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. Smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you found it nauseating, but now it's almost... No, not almost. It is enticing. Drink the blood. It feels wrong, but right now, there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. The hell with it. You pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. Tastes bland, reminds you of cheap supermarket juice. Just enough flavor to register as what it claims to be on the box, but nothing like the real thing. Nothing like what you had last night. You swallow it, somehow you don't feel sick in a weird, messed up way. You can't help but think it feels nourishing. You take a few more sips, and then just another one, suck on the bag a little more. Eventually you find that you've emptied it entirely. You look at the info pressed into the side of the bag for 50 ml of it. Even with its blandness, you still feel like having more, and you realize your body longs for that intoxicating high you felt when an image of that corpse crosses your mind, causing you to wince. What have you become? You try to piece your thoughts together, make sense of it all. When you hear the lock click and see the door open, Standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again, the predator look like a hawk on a hunt, but somehow more relaxed tonight. So like a tamed hawk, maybe? Good evening. Slept well? He notices the discarded empty bag. I see you had a bit of a snack. Yeah, got any more? I did. Got any more? No, and don't expect sustenance to be this easy to find next time. Come on, we've got places to be. The car is humming in the empty parking lot, just outside the door of the cramped room you have spent the day in. The man motions to it politely, but with a stern look on his face. Inside the car. I'm trusting you, man. I'm touched. Sincerely. You take the back seat again. The doors lock. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows, but it's all of little use. It's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so all you can hear is a bit of traffic humming about the car and the car's engine. Good lord, can't read. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked all right. The piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry. No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You try to extract some information out of the man behind the wheel, but you realize you'd prefer to bask in the afterglow of your last meal. You wouldn't have expected it, but you spend the rest of the trip lost in your thoughts. A lot of them concern blood. It takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in oh my god, you're still in New York. That makes it certain. Queens, maybe? After me, no sudden movements, please. Two large men in suits flank the door on both sides and then give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks, all of them beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you, and the stranger who brought you here. The glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces, and animated interest on the others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. Last time you felt like this was at your previous job interview. It was like being a piece of livestock, inspected from all sides for any imperfection. So your wage to be haggled down. It was dehumanizing and made you feel dirty. When they called you the next day to offer you the job, you declined. Even when you're a nobody, you become even less if you trade away your dignity for a paycheck. Memory makes you feel warmer inside even now, although the state of your bank account never did. The woman. Good evening, Cater. And you too, child. The noble code voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers. You being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Good evening, miss. Good evening, miss. You are addressing the Prince of New York City. Helen Panhard, child of Michael, whatever. Fuck you. Thank you, my sheriff, but I am capable of introducing myself. She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear. You may be... Oh my lord, I'm losing it. You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction to unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. Transgression. Jesus. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. Remain silent. Wait a minute, guys. You decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. It feels like you're out of your depth here. Shall we begin? You're about to be judged by the court of New York City. Cater, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court Prince? Is this some kind of secret society? Make believe? Trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. The hunger made him savage prostitute and his client in a Bronx brothel belonging to one of the ministry. I have already spoken to the Sansquari about this and made sure it'll blow over. Sansarique. Regarding the fledgling himself, surprisingly enough, he offered little resistance last night, cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force his compliance. We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged him to join me, which he did without struggle. Again, a pleasant departure from my usual routine. His thirst partially slacked with the bagged blood we kept in the safe house. We had a pleasant enough drive here. The story ends with us arriving in Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Thank you, Cater. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there's the matter of your sire, the person who brought you where Cater picked you up from last night. Who were they? Sire? Let me ask you this first. Why do you keep using the word sire? What does it mean? Under regular circumstances, they will be your patron and the one responsible for your introduction into our society. Things being what they are, however, I would very much like to know who they are, indulge me. You find it impossible to decline her final request. Something in her voice makes you want to please her, and you hear yourself speak. A Latina woman, very radical. Unless she convincingly lied to me, she was special, extraordinary. She had fire, conviction, temper. She seduced me, easily in fact, made me think she wanted me. I fell for it, and now I'm here. You stop yourself from saying more, and realize there's really not much more to talk about. A nagging thought enters your mind. How did this prince persuade you with such ease? Well, Kadar. Did that sound familiar? No, it does not. At least not familiar enough. I will continue to search after we're done here. Can I go now? What happens now? The receptionist she spoke to may know her. The receptionist she spoke to may know her. That chick she rented our room at the motel. Talk to the receptionist. He might know something about her. Unlikely, but regardless, thank you for that observation. I will investigate this later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Cater. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. Prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this, Cater, with all that talk of traditions and councils was, when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie. Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Cater. We all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight after all. Words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the room and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, fledgling, you're in quite the pickle. What was that about a sword? Wait, did I hear that right? What did he say about a sword? Your hearing isn't faulty. We only have a short while before the prince hears her counsel out and Cater returns here with his blade, so listen, please. Last night you became a vampire. Wait, what? Oh yes, I'm well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires, you're looking at them. They're us. Glance around, some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness and not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night. There's no denying it, and your breath has not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" on repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Cater deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down as sure as day follows the night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I'll take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and your deference to Cater will work in your favor. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I'm not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. What happens if I agree? What if I refuse? You'll make me your servant. You'll make me your servant. So let me get this straight. You'll make me your servant in exchange for my life? That's the deal. If you insist on putting it in such pedestrian terms, yes, that is the deal, as you so eloquently put it. The alternative is, I fear, final death at the hands of Cater. Here, tonight. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Cater appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Cater, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It looked like it would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Cater takes his place next to you and observes that the prince takes center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gathered here tonight. I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. She briefly addresses you. I wanted you to know that this was not an easy decision to make. For your part, you have not done anything to earn our ire. I do feel a genuine sorrow for what must be done. We are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. There's no place for tolerating dissent when our very existence is under constant threat. Although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinions on this, Jake looks specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a rather plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence, it is their progeny that must be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Cater. You hear scraping sound and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. His beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune, its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you as his eyes meet yours. You know just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. And he's out to bat. You will not get another chance to speak up. Ask for mercy, escape the gallery, remain silent. Ask for mercy. You make your choice. I'm not going down like this, damn it! Spare me! Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer. Cater looks at the prince, awaiting her response, the sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. First, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The board elites suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but at all the intrigue by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Cater's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain. Am I to understand you are volunteering to take this sireless child under your protection? Yes, I happen to think they might hold potential that would be unfortunate to waste. I do expect their full cooperation, of course. Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two, a hush just ahead, the fucker, some suppressed exclamations of surprise. Silence! I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. You are certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley. I'm willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes, but he would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you. Remain silent, give me a chance to prove myself, Prince. Destruction, oh hell no. Give me a chance to prove myself, Prince. I'm worth keeping alive, Prince. Give me a chance to prove myself. It remains to be seen. I do take notice of your tenacity. See that it doesn't become a burden. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known Sophie Langley of the clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla. Subsequently so, I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, Prince, thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, child? Mr. Prince. Mr. Prince. She nods. Welcome to Camarilla, mister. Directory updated. I mean, not directory. Whatever. Fucking, I can't read today. Now this evening proved to be even more eventful than I anticipated. With the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Thank you for all appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Cater a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties. Of course, Prince. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched, you will be judged, and if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, mister, I think we've both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to a new fruitful partnership. She raises her hand as one of the well-dressed concierges who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guest glasses. The conveniently handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. Pours it into two tall glasses. It's blood again. That much is clear. You're in two minds about drinking it, but the memory of last night's hunger makes you wince. You take a tentative sip. You expected the same blandness you tasted a few hours ago, but it's one you can actually savor. It's smoky and warm, making you think of a cozy cabin in the woods. It does strike you as a strange image for your mind to jump to when drinking human blood, but it's what it is. You've never tasted anything like it. Do you like it? I think New York City caterers have very bourgeoisie ideas about what good blood should taste like. Apologies, you must have so many questions. While we're on the topic, perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. How much do I have to drink? I feel this hunger constantly. How much do I have to drink to make it go away? The sad reality is, it will never go away. No matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more, unless you consume someone wholly to the last drop, paying for temporary relief with their life. That is a one-way road to losing your humanity. Best start by just taking a single sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood will be more sating than most anything they serve in a fancy glass, but it can make you more ferocious. As to how much you should have, depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky and will tempt beasts. That is part of our curse. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting and we will explore the topic further. The blood you're having tonight should be enough to keep you happy for now. You mentioned a beast. The beast you mentioned, is that a metaphor or... Oh, it's quite real, although not in strictly physical sense. It lives in all of us. Our nature and hunger manifest. Those more religious among us connected to the biblical Cain, the rage of the first murderer, cursed by God, seething in all his descendants. I, however, am a child of the Enlightenment. Not that it makes my struggle any easier. I have to be weary like every other kindred in the city and beyond. Individual kindred each have a unique relationship to their beast. What yours is going to be remains to be seen. But you do need to keep it under control. Each outburst endangers not just you, but also the masquerade. The concierge returns, asking for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile and leans in to whisper in her ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty. I'm being told the gallery is just about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. The smile she puts on makes you remember the way you felt with the Latina. It's not arousing, though. More like magnetic. Magnetic. You find it hard to argue. Even though you're still suspicious of her authority over you, her charm momentarily wins you over. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls-Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately. Where do we leave this off? I believe I started telling you a bit more about our customs. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the masquerade. As you might have gathered from us assembling at a niche gallery after closing time, our comings, goings, and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts so that the vast majority of kind we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. So, is that one television show about a vampire angel still popular? Are you talking about Angel from Buffy? You shake your head in confusion. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a little bit more dejected than before. Our clandestine way helps us remain safe. Allow us to explain away the occasional trip up to the irrational minds of the 21st century humanity and dictate much of our interactions with mortals. What's the risk? What's the worst that could happen if you're a vampire? I'm sure you can defeat any threat that comes your way. Would surely make things easier if we could. Unfortunately for us, there are plenty of things that harm us. Chief among them are sunlight and fire. Both will burn you to ash. That's why we rest during the day. You felt it, I'm sure. That it's more like being dead than being dormant. But we have no choice. We are night dwellers, but day sleepers. Some more folk-related threats are just legends, or occasionally a minor nuisance. Garlic, running water, even religious symbols don't repel us unless the wielder is uniquely pure and godly. Stakes through the heart, though, that's something to avoid. They do not destroy, but they do paralyze, which under the right circumstances can often be the same thing. That's the reason to have somebody like my trusted driver, Gregory. Making sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantages. Advantage lies with daylight. So it's good to keep human friends. Am I right in thinking that having a human friend or two is necessary then? Or at least useful? In moderation and best if they don't know your true nature. Also, I would say that subordinates are useful, but friends, I haven't had one of those for many years now. Our little sex supplies social interactions plenty, but it doesn't really encourage friendships. Alliances of convenience to be broken at a whim, yes, that's more like it. Long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty is to your sire, to your prince, and to the sect. Friends must remain a distant priority at best for us to maintain the masquerade and thrive as the years pass. With age comes authority. With it comes influence and power if you wish to reach for them. She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder the things you've learned tonight. Feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the one you keep returning to is what your place in this new reality should be. The car stops. You are in the city, in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building. We're here. Would you like to see your lodgings? My own apartment? Neat! I get my own apartment? That's neat. Consider it the first of many gifts that I'm able to grant in exchange for your loyalty. Come upstairs. She leads you through a small hall with a night guard who greets Miss Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to room 209. Inside are all the amenities you could expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. The back room is a comfortable-looking bed and a thick steel door with several sturdy-looking locks, but no windows. Well, how do you like it? This is great, thank you. What can I choose? Can I choose another? Feels too nice. This is great, thank you. I'm glad. Make yourself at home. Tomorrow I'll take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set. I will come to pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the doors just in case. It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly becomes a few shades dimmer. You inspect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing, no regular food either. Feels strange that Cater could be a more thoughtful host than your new sire, even if only in that respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Kojak reruns. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. President of the United States got himself out of trouble again. Pundits start yelling over each other about things that seemed a little bit less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversations and worldview-shattering revelations. How many more before you finally understand what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you'll have the chance for either. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift into a cold sleep last night, you settle in the back room, but it's comforting, the lack of windows less so. Leave the light bulb on, looking at it. You realize it's the sun on a breezy summer day again. Damn it. You leave the light bulb on, looking at it. You realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A few minutes later, your consciousness fades, and you take the plunge in the darkness again, sinking. Ooh, okay. Hunger is at the heart of a vampire's existence. To ignore is to tempt the beast to take over in its desire to feed. To overindulge in feeding may threaten the masquerade while staining what humanity you have left. In Coteries of New York, having high hunger is indicated by a progressively thicker bloody frame around the screen, like the one you see now. Okay. As your hunger grows, so does this indicator. Your hunger may increase when you call upon your vampiric powers, or when you need to mend your wounds after a fight. When your hunger reaches the maximum level, you will receive a warning after you complete a piece of story. Ignore it at your own peril. Some choices might only become visible if your hunger is high enough. Similarly, high hunger may block off some choices as you will be able to see after pressing continue. Blocked off option. Continue. To decrease your hunger, you will need to feed. Whenever you see a feeding opportunity, you can take the risk to hunt and slack your thirst. Feeding opportunity. You will need to keep the hunger at bay if you are to uphold the masquerade and survive the nights that await you. You open your eyes. The bed isn't warm. The room is filled with artificial light from the ceiling. The solid metal door is closed. Normally you'd stretch a bit. On some mornings you'd probably throw the quilt over yourself and snooze a bit longer, but that was before. The way you woke up now, you're fully conscious, no grogginess, nothing weighing you down, just a nagging need in the back of your head. Hunger, not as severe as last time, but unmistakably there. You get up and open the door to the main room. A digital clock on the TV shows you the time, 9:04 p.m. You walk over to the blinds and retract them cautiously. The only light coming in is New York City's artificial nighttime luminescence. So that's what your waking hours are going to be like now. You missing the sunlight already? You seriously consider just walking out of the apartment and figuring this all out by yourself, but then you come back to the memory of Cater's exotic sword being raised in the gallery. Maybe sticking around isn't that bad of an idea after all. You keep jumping channels for around half an hour and then switch to streaming services. Most all, if the universe had a sense of irony, you catch True Blood in the flood of recommendations. The doorbell rings. It's Sophie. Good evening, mister. Slept well? Like a dead man. Curious wording, but not that far from the truth, I suppose. No use dwelling on it. I think you will agree with time. You made the right choice yesterday. I can teach you many things about yourself, your blood, its desire, and its power. We will begin tonight. You are hungry, yes? I'm sure you are. Our kind always is. There is only one remedy, the book. I'm not the book. Why in the fuck am I reading this so weirdly? Oh my god. The blood. The drinks we had yesterday at Elysium are not the usual way you slack your thirst. So tonight I will assist you in your first foray into hunting. You need to learn to sense the kind of blood you desire, to understand how you can use the kind's vulnerability to your advantage. I'm ready to learn. Well, I'm ready to learn. Let's get started. Such eagerness, or is it just your hunger making you impatient? You'll need that drinking moderate. You will find that drinking moderate amounts of it regularly keep the hunger and the whispers of the beast away. You might think yourself monstrous, but there is a balance to be found here. The kiss gives the kind pleasure. You might remember this from your own embrace. Some can even become addicted to the sensation, but if you do it right, they tend to misremember your feeding. After all, vampires do not exist. They are myths, fairy tales, and pop culture mainstays, right? Correct? She gives you a sly, knowing smile. That is why the masquerade is so important, and even more crucial when you feed. 1 second, guys. How do you avoid being seen? How do you cover your tracks? How do you select a victim? How do you avoid being seen? How do you avoid being seen while feeding? You isolate your prey, or you choose the right circumstances. People tend to avert their gaze when they see a couple intertwined in public. Love bites are easy to explain away. Some of us keep willing herds, or even just individual kind, who desire the kiss that comes at a higher risk these nights, though, so I would not recommend it to a young kindred like yourself. Feeding from the same area repeatedly can be dangerous, but by branching out, you risk the ire of other kindred on whose domains you trespass. Lucky for you, New York City is more forgiving in this regard. New York is somewhat of a unique position. Many of its neighborhoods remain contested or unclaimed. The reason for this is a lesson for another time, but keep the following in mind. To take opportunities to feed when they present themselves these upcoming nights. As long as you hunt cautiously and respect the masquerade at all times, you should be fine. To it, I want you to join me for a trip tonight. Come downstairs. Gregory is waiting for us. The busy street fills the air with traffic noises, pedestrian chatter, and a mix of smells that disorient you momentarily. These warm bodies contain what you want, what you need. You catch yourself. Did you really just think of these people as mere sources of blood? Takes a nudge from Sophie to break your train of thought. Her driver opens the door for her and then tips his hat to you, gesturing to the back of the car. The car casually joins the somewhat thin New York traffic. It's still busy in a way only one of the biggest cities in the world can be compared to the daytime commute. It's a pleasant drive. You rarely have the time to gather your thoughts and formulate new questions before the car comes to a stop. You're among the tall skyscrapers that make Manhattan's iconic skyline. Come, mister, park the car. Gregory, will you? The driver just nods and Sophie gets away. You join her and the two of you walk through the glass doors together, then take the elevator up. You first notice an empty stage with the instruments of the string quartet still in the back, and taking the few dozen chairs in front of it. The concert seemingly concluded. The patrons, all smartly dressed and posh, have spread out all over the hall. Sophie strides confidently inside, produces an invitation from her purse that she flashes in front of the security guard. You follow close and are let through without issue. Let's start easy. A social setting like this one we usually prove quite challenging to an inexperienced kindred, but consider this evening a small gift from your patron. I'm hoping to procure for you a willing vessel. Just remember what I told you about taking small sips. This one I have a soft spot for. Don't damage her. Let's see here. There he is. She notices somebody in the crowd, flashes a heart-melting smile, and suddenly even you feel drawn to her. You haven't thought about it before, but it's laid clear before you in this moment. Sophie is beautiful. Just like looking at her is a privilege. Just being with her makes you feel elated. Everybody in the crowd, but especially the man who's almost tripping over himself to reach her, clearly agrees. Edgar, I'm so happy to see you. How is your daughter? Is she with you? Oh, there she is. Julie, my girl, come over, please. There's somebody I'd like you to meet. The young woman who walks across the hall cannot be more than 19 years old. It's clear from her mismatched earrings and the partially faded purple hair dye that she doesn't fit this crowd. Julie, this is Mister. I think the two of you should get acquainted while I talk business with your dad. Awfully boring stuff, I assure you. I'm positive you'll like each other. The girl gives you a shy smile and nods towards the balcony stairs. You follow, somewhat unsure what it is exactly Sophie expects you to do. You reach a secluded space from which the entire lobby is visible. All eyes are on Sophie. You listen intently, then laugh when she does. Julie saves you the trouble of figuring out the next step. Oh, she's cute! Oh, I'm so sorry about what I'm going to do to you. I apologize. If you're with Sophie, then I guess you're, that you know. She puts her wrist to her lips and gives herself a theoretical nip, and looks to you embarrassed, but also hopeful. Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. She takes off her jacket and buttons her sleeve, then rolls it up. You see a tattoo of a cat in an astronaut suit, one feline eye winking at you. There, just enjoy. Perfectly awkward smile and a blush. Drink from Julie. You take her forearm in your hands, a quick look around confirms nobody's watching and no security cameras cover this area. You bite down gently. It's surreal, she's just given you her blood of her own volition. How is this possible? What about the masquerade? You need to ask Sophie. Your thoughts disappear amidst the bliss. There's just a taste, sweet, fresh, sanguine. You drink. And drink. And drink. No, stop, stop, stop! You tear away from the girl harder than you wanted. Still the bite leaves just tiny punctures. Almost as if by instinct you lick them clean and the two holes become concealed just like that. Julie is now leaning on the wall. Pale, wobbly on her feet, but happy. She lets out a dreamy sigh, opens her eyes. A few tears fall onto her shirt. Tears of joy. Thank you. Thank you. Please, can you walk me downstairs? Please? My dad, he doesn't know. Thinks it's a condition. Miss Langley told him so. She leans on you and requests you walk her over to a bench. She takes a seat and smiles at you. The crowd around Sophie disperses slowly, looking at her now. Only some residual awe hangs in the air. She's pretty, maybe even beautiful, sure, but not your type. What came over you before? You walk over to her. It's cool that the eyes flash. Edgar, dear, it was splendid talking to you, but we need to get going. Give Julie my best wishes. Come with Mr. Come with me, Mr. Gregory is waiting for you out front. It's only in the car that Sophie addresses you. I can tell from your look that you took the opportunity. Good for you. That girl's exquisite, don't you think? You wouldn't tell by her demeanor, but she has so much passion, it brings out a unique bouquet in her blood. Her blood was delicious. She was something else, to be sure, delicious. I could barely stop myself from drinking more. I'm glad you did. She is one of my favorites. Consider tonight special in this regard. I do not share her with just anybody. Time for the next stop. Training wheels off. This time. Gregory! Flushing Meadows, please. Driver takes the car over the Williamsburg Bridge. You settle your thoughts. What did you do to the people back there? Those people back at the hall. They were all entranced. Even I was under your spell. What was that? She smiles with satisfaction. That old trick, just the blood doing my bidding. We all have our talents. Some of them come from legacy we inherit from our sires. Others can be learned with experience. I can sway people or make them fear me. I see more of the world and in greater detail than some kindred. I can will my body to move with unparalleled precision and grace and more. All of these skills make me who I am. They also help me hunt. What are my powers? Okay, so what are my talents? Time will tell. You need to discover them yourself. When we arrive, experiment. Give different things a try. Follow your instincts and intuition. It will guide the blood. Always keep the masquerade in mind, however. It is all fine if you can disappear in plain sight or command animals with your mind, but save those overt talents for the right place and time. It only takes you half an hour to reach the park, and at this time of night, both you and Sophie leave the car, with Gregory left behind again to find a parking spot and keep an eye on the car. Sophie seems deep in thought. She takes in the surroundings with a dreamy gaze. The sky is surprisingly clear tonight. The stars just barely visible in the light-polluted aura of the city. One second, guys. Goodness. See what effects you can achieve with your blood, but only pick one victim, just one, then come back. Seeing how she seems not altogether here right now, you decide to leave Sophie to her own devices and seek out your prey. From here, it looks like you have a few choices. Just taking a stroll around the park and finding an isolated jogger or someone like them could work, but focusing on one area might work better. The New York State Pavilion might work as a secluded spot. There's a skate park nearby, and worst case scenario, there's bound to be some unfortunate wino around. Or maybe the tennis court nearby, there's light coming from there, so somebody might still be playing late at night, a late night match. They won't be alone, but they might be tired and let their guard down. All these scenarios play in your mind. You realize you're planning how to assault a stranger in the middle of the night. It's a weird way to be, but the now familiar hunger prompts you to act. Search for a victim around the park, hunt near the decrepit pavilion, look for prey at the tennis courts. Hunt near the decrepit pavilion. You make your way to one of the park's most well-known landmarks, the round skeleton of the New York State Pavilion with its two vaguely futuristic-looking towers. You don't get lucky with the skate park. It's not deserted. Instead, a group of skaters is gathered there, talking loudly and listening to music playing out of crackling smartphone speakers. Deciding to have a quick look around, you identify a potential victim, a sleeping bag lady, leaned back on a bench, a shopping cart full of what looks like trash nearby. One of those might be the right opportunity to take. One of these might be the right opportunity to take. I want to test out my powers. Presence grab one of the skaters' attention. You think back to what Sophie did in the hall, how she managed to focus the attention of the entire gathering on her. That might be a tall order for you, but a single person could be doable. You signal on a guy who's talking on his phone away from the gathering. He's having a heated discussion with somebody, a relative, a partner. It's not going well. This talk's over. I said shut the fuck up. Hey, you hearing me? Shut up. Call me when you get some fucking sense into your stupid brain, okay? He ends the call abruptly and almost throws the phone to the ground in frustration. Rough night. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Hey man, I need some help. Rough night. He's got an angry expression on his face and tears welling in his eyes, but he gives you a curious look and even a bit of a shy smile. Yeah, you could say that. What's up? Come closer, let's talk. I think you need somebody to talk to right now, yeah? Takes a few steps forwards away from his buddies, who remain totally oblivious to what's happening, but you see your influence fading. You take your chance and lunge. Your fangs sink into an exposed shoulder. He shivers and lets out a moan. His phone hits the pavement and you hear the casing crack. His blood tastes like a clash of hot emotion and melancholy laced with some artificial stimulant you can't quite place. Energy drink. A recreational drug, it's a strange mix. You hardly have the chance to savor it as the proximity of the skater's friends makes you feel vulnerable. You hastily finish drinking and drag the guy over to the pavilion. When you turn around, you realize you're not alone. A hooded man is looking menacingly at you. Hoodlum, what do you think you're doing barging in on my turf like this, Lick? Lick? What kind of slur is that? What did you call me, a lick? What is that supposed to mean? Don't be cute with me, I know what you are. Shove the masquerade bullshit up your ass. Better tell me who you're with before my posse shows up and we beat it out of you. I'm with the Camarilla. Chill out, I'm with the Camarilla. He does anything but chill out. He's immediately tenses up, gives you an extremely nasty look and bares his fangs. You with the ivory tower cunts, huh? Well, tonight's my lucky night. I'm gonna fuck you up and bring you to Callahan. He'll have some fun breaking your shins, and maybe by the end of it, I'll get to have a nice long sip. I wonder what you taste like, lick. He does his best impression of Hannibal Lecter's and a nice Chianti shtick, but he's not as intimidating as he thinks. Clarity, run back to Sophie fast. Take off fast, faster than you've ever run. The hoodlum has trouble keeping up, but howls behind you like an animal and gives chase anyway. As you reach the Unisphere again, you slow down, noticing two people near the sculpture, a man and woman, tangled in a passionate embrace. No, not exactly at Sophie feeding, but this whole scene is set up so that it looks like a couple getting intimate in public. She pulls it off like she's done it 100 times before. It occurs to you that she probably has. The man is unsure on his feet as she lets go of him and leads him towards a nearby bench. Noticing you, she whispers something into his ear and leaves him. Her driver appears from behind a tree. Well, mister, how did it go? You're about to answer when the same figure as before emerges from one of the alleys. He looks at the three of you and a predatory smile creeps onto his lips. You thought you could run from me, Lick? Think you'll be safer with your friends? Well, I have friends too. He makes a motion to shout, but two things happen almost at the same time. First, that feeling of warmth and beauty emanating from Sophie flares up again, entrancing both you and the hooded thug. His shout comes out as a weak, confused squeak. Second, Gregory produces a wooden stake from a holster under his jacket and slams it into the thug's chest. Just like that, in a few seconds, the posturing vampire is down on the ground, paralyzed. I see you've made a friend, mister. Curious choice of company, I would say. Who is he? He mentioned a Callahan. He said something about presenting me to somebody named Callahan. Ever heard of him? She looks shocked for a split second, then recovers her regular countenance. Yes, I have. This hoodlum is Anarch, then. Curious. Corona Park has not been claimed by any kindred last I checked. Let's go to the car, we'll put him in the trunk and present him to Cater. Tomorrow night. I'm sure he'll be delighted to make this Unbound's acquaintance. Gregory carries the staked vampire and dumps it into the car trunk like a mannequin. It's a strange sight, and you're quite happy you're not in that poor fucker's shoes right now. It's almost surprising that you can get away with just casually throwing a stiff into your car and driving away, but then you remember that Sophie has been doing this far longer than you have. Still the nagging thought that anything you did tonight would have been recorded on CCTV camera or picked up by a rando with half a decent smartphone and streamed online fills you with dread. Hunting and using your abilities is a dangerous business. It's clear that this whole being a vampire thing has about as many caveats as it has perks. You're taken out of your headspace by Sophie's voice. We'll pick you up tomorrow night, same as tonight. I have some business to attend to at Elysium, and I expect you to accompany me. Plus, our friend in the back needs to be properly introduced to Cater and the prince. I'm sure he'll have some interesting things to say to the court. Her voice is cold, cruel, and nothing like the enchanting personality she showed at the gallery earlier tonight. Sophie is clearly a woman of many faces. What's going to happen to him? The usual, I imagine. Interrogation by Cater, probably in the basement of the gallery. A quick trial, and with the prince in attendance, and if she's there tomorrow night. Swift execution as the verdict. This all sounds eerily familiar to you, and you can't help but feel a pang of guilt when you think about what awaits this guy tomorrow night. You've been telling me how your hunting went. Getting the hang of it? I would hope. I think so, yeah. I think I am, yeah. I'll cope. I'm glad. She doesn't question you further, seems distracted, not all there. Her thoughts drift and the car remains silent until you reach your apartment. We'll pick you up tomorrow evening. Good night. Just like that, without any further courtesy, Sophie leaves, driven to her apartment by Gregory with a body in the trunk right in the middle of Manhattan. Did you cross paths with situations like these in the past, and knowingly, what other secrets did you pass on the streets without knowing their true nature? Your haven is just as you'd left it. Hours ago, although the sun hasn't come up from some time... oh my god. Although the sun won't come up for some time, you feel tired. You learned something about yourself today, and it'll take time to process. You're not in the mood for television, and the few books on the shelves in the apartment are either in languages you don't speak or sound like boring reads. Nothing left to do but rest. You settle in the back room, lock the door. A moment of hesitation, but then a decision. This time, you turn the light off. You think back to Julie. How many people in this city know about this vampiric society? How many are willing accomplices in sustaining it? And the thug you met in the park, if he's not Camarilla, then what is he? Are there independent vampires? How does that work? More questions, you begin wondering if there is ever going to be a night when you can start crossing them off the list instead of adding to it. You close your eyes. You sink into the now familiar void of nothingness. It greets you with open arms like an old friend. You open your eyes. It's pitch black here, the blackness of a coffin drifting in the abyss. Oh, right. The light. You grasp for the switch, flip it. The familiar cramped room with a steel door and no windows comes into view. You emerge from the bedroom fully awake, just like yesterday. This time, however, Sophie is waiting for you comfortably seated on the sofa. In your living room space, a book in her hand, The Melancholy of Resistance, the title sure on brand. Good evening, mister. Sorry to have kept you waiting. To be fair, I haven't been here long. I was enjoying reminiscing about the time when I called this my haven. The decor was much different, of course. Come we have an appointment. I received word Elysium would be called again tonight on account of your unruly friend from Corona Park. This should be a great opportunity for you to mingle. She keeps talking as you walk downstairs and get in the car. Gregory gives you a slight nod and a small smile while opening the door for Sophie. He starts the car when you take your seat in the back. Most of the Primogen Council is bound to be there. At least those who usually attend, probably some other important personalities you do well to at least learn about. Who should I talk to? Anyone I should talk to when we arrive? Not especially. My advice would be to try to talk to the prince and perhaps reassure her of your gratefulness for being spared. Maybe speak to Cater on the same topic if you get a hold of him. The Primogen I would advise against. They are rather stuck up and all told, and even if they will talk to you, they might try to secure you for some nefarious purposes. I wouldn't appreciate that. Of course, be respectful if anybody approaches you and strike up a conversation. You will no doubt be gossiped about as will I. Keep a cool head. Some enjoy provoking fledglings into stupid acts. At any rate, you should behave yourself tonight. Remember what I told you about reflecting on me as your patron. I have a reputation to uphold in the court. Do not tarnish it. There it is. She might have saved you, she might be protecting and teaching you, but it's clear what she's really concerned about, her own interests. Can I save here? My lord. I will read these so that they are done. Camarilla, a major sect of vampire devoted primarily to maintaining the masquerade through influence and manipulation of mortal society. Fledgling, a newly created vampire still under their shire's protection. Prince, a vampire who has claimed to give an expansive domain as their own, generally a city, supports that claim against all others. The term can refer to a kindred of either sex. The hunger, the urge to feed for vampires. The hunger replaces all other drives with its own powerful call. Vessel, source of blood for sustenance or pleasure, primarily mortal. Beast, the incoherent drives and urges that threaten to turn a vampire into a mindless, raving monster. Cain, a mystical figure considered to be the first and most powerful vampire. Some vampires refer to themselves as Cainites, members of the race of Cain. Kindred, the Camarilla term for the vampires as a whole, or a single vampire. According to the rumor, this term came about in the 15th or 16th century after the Anarch Revolution. Masquerade, a habit or tradition of hiding the existence of vampires from humanity, designed to protect vampires from destruction at the hands of mankind. The masquerade was adopted after the medieval Inquisition claimed many kindred unlives. The traditions, 6 traditions form the core framework for the governance among the kindred. The first tradition, the masquerade, thou shalt not reveal thy true nature. The second tradition, domain, thy domain is thine own concern, all others owe thee respect while in it. The third tradition, the progeny, thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. The fourth tradition, the accounting, those thou create are thine own children, their sins are thine to endure. The fifth tradition, hospitality, honor one another's domain, not the word of acceptance, thou art nothing. The sixth tradition, destruction, thou art forbidden to destroy another of thine kind. The right of destruction belongeth only to thine elder. Kind, a term for mortals, largely contemptuous. The phrase kindred and kind refers to the world at large, everything. Sect, group of vampires arguably united under a common philosophy. The two most widely known sects currently populating the night are the Camarilla and the Anarch movement. Sheriff, a vampire's begetter, the kindred who created them. Sire. Sheriff, the sheriff ensures that the traditions and the decrees of the prince are obeyed. Hunts down violators and delivers just punishment. In the case of minor violations or known enemies of the Camarilla, the sheriff is usually authorized to act as both judge and jailer, executioner, but when it comes to greater offenses, they will deliver the accused to the court to be judged. Elysium, a place where vampires may gather without fear of harm. Court functions in Elysium are strictly kept apart from mortals and surrounded by secrecy, but the Elysium building itself could be a public museum, a gallery, or club. Berghain is an Anarch Elysium. The Louvre is a Camarilla Elysium. A kiss, an act of drinking blood, usually from a mortal. The kiss causes feelings of ecstasy in those who receive it. The embrace, the act of transforming a mortal into a vampire. The embrace requires the vampire to drain her victim and then replace that victim's blood with a bit of her own. Domain, the area of a particular vampire's influence. Princes claim entire cities as their domains, sometimes allowing lesser vampires to claim domain within. Blick, a derogatory term usually used to address young, unexperienced vampires. The Ivory Tower, another name for the Camarilla. The Anarch movement, a vampire sect that opposes the tyranny of elders and has placed itself outside the secret society of the Camarilla. Court, the social system of a city's kindred, resembling the feudal system of mortals. At the top is the prince, below them the members of the Primogen court. Order in the domain is maintained by a sheriff. Gatherings are organized in a secret sanctuaries known as Elysiums. Even a vampire's home or base where they find sanctuary from the sun, the Primogen Council. Primogen Council represents the interests of the local kindred and advises the prince on matters of law and rule. Traditionally, it consists of representatives from each of the most prominent clans or factions in the domain, naturally favoring those of the Camarilla, though outsiders are allowed to report any issues to a Primogen not of their own clan. Primogen are often elders, but despite the term Primogen from Latin means the firstborn, there are no rules in place that this is how it must be. In fact, during the last few decades, more and more councils have seen drastic changes to their structures. Okay guys, I'm gonna end the stream here. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I had a lot of fun. If you want to see previous streams that I've done, go check out my YouTube channel, link is in my bio. If you guys want to see I'm about to stream something, go check out my Twitter, link is also in my bio. Check out my schedule here on Twitch. Or you can check out my schedule on Instagram, link is also in my bio. Or if you don't want to do any of that, here is my schedule for the rest of the week and next week as well, probably. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, do whatever it is you guys want to do. I hope you guys have a good day and night wherever you are, and I shall see you guys very soon. Bye!